What's up, Dave? How you doing, dude?
I went to a fucking
Hey, what's up, man?
What's up, man? I'm gonna be on mute just because I'm in the car and I have family in the car.
All good. I was like,
Hopefully,
who? I was like, who is TE? And it took me a couple Sherlock Holmes level interpretations to get that one done. So
funny. Yeah. What's up,
we're
dude?
we're recording and live, just so you know too.
Good. I'll
Figured
keep
I'd
my
start that early. So
yeah. I'll mind my p's and q's.
all good, man. We're gonna dig into some back end stuff today, at least to kick it off, and we can go from there. So
Sweet.
yep,
I'm just gonna throw in some headphones. Give me 1 sec here, dude.
all good.
Coming in clear.
Yeah, you're in.
Sweet. Yeah, I'll mute as people start to trickle in. What kind of back end stuff?
I think we'll start with just some of the like automated stuff I have set up and see what where that takes us. I guess I don't know. A little bit of the sich stuff, a little bit of like the how we get people into the funnel type stuff. So
Sweet. I reached out to that guy, by the way, at Lexington Capital.
okay, awesome.
I dropped a call and then I got his email, so I sent him an email, and I'll just follow up on the email and treat it like any other lead.
Okay, yeah, that works.
I mean, this could be like really, really good partnership. And like one place that my mind's been going to lately, we'll see before people start to trickle in. Just an idea I'm thinking of is like pref equity seems to be so prevalent today.
We're live and
could,
recorded too, just so you know.
Nah, cool. No, I'm not
Yeah.
going to say anything like
Yeah.
anything illegal or immoral, but like pref equity seems crazy right now. I think you could step into deals with minimal equity and take down a deal with a ton of pref equity and debt in the stack.
Well, there is a lot of the capital stack that remains to be funded with how much leverage you can get on agency debt right now. So yeah,
Exactly.
it's certainly at least an option to get you to the finish line. So
I think I told you, and I was speaking with the JLL debt brokerage team. They were like, we're really looking for like 40% equity and 60 debt for agency right now, or like 43 to 45%.
No, that's just like
equity.
where all the coverage ratios are right now. So it's pretty crazy. That's why everything's bridge.
Nuts.
So
exactly.
So, yeah.
Like everything's bridge. Everything's like a 2++ or a 3++.
And that's going to get scarier. People are going to get scared of that with the way the interest rates are hovering. So
yeah,
we'll see.
But I don't know. I think if you could get good 3-year debt like that 3.8 range, I still think we're in a rosy market with raising rents. So I think you'll be able to refi, hopefully roll out of this bridge stuff with any decent property.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's just, short business plan to make sure that you get there.
Yeah, it is short, but in today's market, a lot of these properties are having these lease out trades of like 20%.
Yeah. Hey, Angela, we're just waiting for people to file in here. Just kind of hanging out for a few more minutes. We'll wait till some people get in. But yeah, we'll be covering kind of some back end stuff today, kind of CRM, kind of tools, automating, all that kind of stuff. At least start there, and we'll see where it takes us. So.
All right.
Yeah, Dave, figure we can wait a couple.
I think you went on mute for a hot second.
I did. I didn't mean to do that. Yeah, I said I figured we could wait like 3 to 5 more minutes till a few more people trickle in, and then we could kind of kick it off.
Yep. Yeah, I'm gonna start blabbing away here in probably like 2 more minutes. See.
Cool.
Usually
Perfect.
People start coming in later, so that's totally fine.
And worst case, we have it recorded, so you'll be able to deliver a ton of value, and people can listen to it later.
Absolutely. Just want to make sure. Yeah, everything I'm seeing, it looks like we're good to go. All right, so I am gonna kick it off, and it's funny because the thing that we're gonna kind of start with today is, like I mentioned, we're gonna get into some kind of back end stuff that we use to essentially keep our CRM moving along without having to think too much about it. Um, and I mentioned it's coincidental because I just started live on Facebook, so we're on the Facebook group live. And the interesting thing about that is I just dropped a comment that left us a little link for anybody looking on Facebook Live. So if you're on Facebook Live, hello. I see Mariv is there looking at least part time there. But I dropped our sich link. So we're gonna kind of start with sich today, and why I like this little piece of software. It's very simple, and there's a lot out there, but sich serves a few purposes for us. It helps us both online and in person. It helps us essentially accomplish a bunch of things, really. So I'm gonna kind of start with sharing my screen here in a hot second and show some of the things we kind of use to essentially fill the funnel, if you will. So yeah, just give me 1 second. I'm gonna share, and we'll get into some of the sich stuff, which I find, at least from a software perspective, kind of neat. So I found sich, and there's a few softwares out there. There's sich, there's Popple, there's all these different types of like physical media cards, whether it's the actual digital business card, like the physical card with the NFC and the QR code, or it's got like the iPhone kind of Popple in the back. All these different things. And what's useful about it is instead of trading business cards, what you can do is essentially trade contact info via phone digitally. Hi Hello is a popular one that's just like an app. I, through some research, personally liked sich. I think there's no monthly fees with the way I have it set up, which is a big bonus for us. The other services, I think there's a little bit more restrictions to be able to actually do some of the functions that you want to do. I found sich to kind of serve all of our purposes, just as is. So I like it for that reason. But yeah, I'm just gonna dig into how we use it. So like I mentioned, we have physical business cards. So when we go out to a meetup, we do all these cool things. So when we go out to a meetup, essentially what happens is I can go in here and say, okay, we're gonna basically go meet with somebody in person, and this is what they'll see. So they're gonna see this sign in, and what'll happen is they can fill out their information, and then when I leave them, their information before we leave the conversation is already in my CRM. They're already teed up for the next newsletter, all these other functions. So it's pretty neat to be able to essentially not have the headache of going to scan in a business card or write down notes or anything like that. They can leave their own notes. So doing a bunch of these little stacks, one on top of the other, it takes a little while to set up, but once you get them all set up, like anything else, any task, once it's set up and it's repeatable and automated, it makes your life that much easier to free yourself up to do the other things. So when you're actually out there shaking hands at a conference, at a meetup, whatever, you can kind of go about the conversation, worry about the conversation, and not have to do the things that are going to kind of slow you down. Another thing we use, and it's related to the Zoom call today, was we short link everything to all be condensed, and it's very easy for me to copy and paste and make sure that the current link is live, but the CRL link is always short linked to my sich app CRL. And what that does is it just always goes to our current registration page for this meetup. So you'll see if you get into this setup and you find this page, whether I shared it to another group or whatever else, no matter what instance of this meetup it is, it always lands back. Just me typing in this link, sichapp.crl, always goes to this page where you can essentially get into our little ecosystem. And it's another way for us to make sure that you're staying in contact with us and we're staying in contact with you. Constantly looking at layering people into having long-term relationships is the key to being sustainable. You can't keep up with somebody constantly unless they're in a system. It's not going to work otherwise. So you got to make sure that whatever you're doing, it's repeatable. And this is certainly repeatable. Anytime anybody's interested in this meetup, I just say, here's the link, and they can sign up, and then it's just kind of easy from there. And they're already ready for the next newsletter to get reminders of the next meetup, et cetera, et cetera. So it's pretty nice in that regard. One of the cool ones, we do an in-person meetup in the city. It's actually going to be next Thursday. So if you're in New York, you can certainly come out and that's a very similar one, but it's my sich, and it's just meetup at the end of it. And what that does, and I clicked the wrong link here, but what that does is bring us to our really cool landing page for our event. And you'll see this is like a really nice landing page. I could go kind of completely into this on another day, but I don't want to take up too much time, at least on my initial rant. But what this does in our link is, this is essentially a landing page to register for everybody for the event. So anybody that registers through this link, again, gets into our CRM, and it makes sure that nobody is missed. So we have, event pages for this meetup on LinkedIn, event pages on Facebook, event pages on meetup.com. All of those funnels get directed to sign up through here. So that way we can collect name, we can collect email, we can collect phone number. And that way we know they're in New York City. So they get labeled as someone who lives in New York. This way, next month, even if they didn't come through this month, we know to reach out to them via email to say, hey, might not have been a good time, but we're going to have the next one on this date, and it might be worthwhile for you to come through. Always looking to grow the platforms on a kind of continual growth basis, layering on top of each other one at a time. So a few of the cool kind of high level things we do with the sich links. And let's see, what else can we do with this? So how else have we gone? I can also do this guy right here. If I go back and go in person. So I think before I actually clicked on the wrong representation of what an in-person contact looks like. And I like this little feature. It's really cool. So this is if I met you in person and you tapped my card. So we're finishing up our conversation. Hey, let's swap business cards, whatever. I'll probably swap you a real business card just so you can take notes, write it down, keep it, whatever. It's got my face on it. You can remember me that way. But when I have you fill this out, give me your name, email, phone. And if you check this in the New York City area, this is what I'm really partial to, because it helped me set up a lot of workflows where I didn't have to worry about capturing people that I wanted to capture. But if I meet you at a meetup, and it's likely outside of the city, because we do a lot of traveling, we'll go to different conferences. We just got back from one in Sarasota. We go to Orlando often because we invest there, meeting people all over the place. But sometimes they're from New York City area, which we obviously host an event in. We're obviously from there. We have more opportunities to meet you in person in New York City. And that's the best way to do business, is to keep meeting people in person. So if you check this box while we're interfacing, while we're talking and figuring out what it is, we're looking to do in the space, and it's worthwhile to stay in touch, you check that box, you're automatically assigned as someone in New York. You're automatically assigned to the newsletter that tells you when our next meetup is. You're automatically labeled as someone we know is in the area. So when we're looking to do anything, whether it's this monthly meetup, some type of brunch event, any other outing where we think it's worthwhile to kind of touch base with the people within, the nearest 10 miles or whatever, you're in there automatically. There's no thinking, no me going back at night to the hotel room and saying, okay, who is that person? Were they in the city? I forget. Travis, do you know? I don't remember. Who was the person there? What did they do? Where were they from? It's all kind of there. And then again, at the bottom here, how did we meet? Additional comments. 9 times out of 10, you're going to just give yourself a little bit of a bio, and that's going to help me remember, because the whole goal is to meet quality people. Quantity is great, but quality is even better. So having an idea of who the person is and being able to keep track of what it is they're up to, how you can add value to each other, that's kind of the biggest things, the biggest takeaways you want to be able to do. So anything to alleviate that pressure, to not make you have to keep doing work, to just kind of keep moving forward and focus on the relationships and not the stuff in the way of the relationships, is pretty big in my mind. So I spend a little bit of time adding these features, but in the long term, it's a really big payoff. So that's kind of sich. Where I'm going to go next is, I guess I'll give a couple examples of how those look inside of the CRM. So what we can do here, well, that hopefully showing a crazy amount of detail and getting too bogged down, is if I type in New York City here at the top. So this is essentially what I was talking about. Anybody, I can just search NYC, just like this CRM is Google. And what that'll do is show me anybody that has that tag that's either been at the meetup or is close to New York or anything like that. So all these people, this whole list is just, a click away from me knowing that they are in New York. So it's pretty neat to be able to just say, okay, let's do something with this list, productive and figure out what the next event is or what the next touch point is. So really interesting to be able to do that. And just to rewind, this CRM is called Biggin. There's a few out there that a lot of people consider. There's HubSpot is a big one. ActiveCampaign people use a lot. If there's, I would say, like a more serious use, you have a higher number of people you're looking to reach and more frequently. It's a little bit more expensive, but worth it for something like that. This is called Biggin. It's actually a Zoho product, Zoho CRM, if you've ever heard of that or familiar. But we go one step further than Zoho CRM. We use Zoho One, which is like a bundle of Zoho products. It's kind of got the whole gamut. It's got CRM features. It's got an entire whole separate campaign platform, which is kind of like a survey, or not a survey monkey, MailChimp is what I was thinking of. I guess I'm getting the apes mixed up. But it's got a whole slew of products, and actually this event page is one of the products. It's kind of got like an Eventbrite product. So it's got a whole kind of tech stack in and of itself, which we find pretty useful. So this page, I mean, only takes me 15 minutes to push out for the next month's meetup, and it's really light and it looks really good, and everybody's pretty happy with being able to sign on to it. So that's what we use, and it's not like I'm trying to push anything because I don't make anything off any of it, but it's all about kind of, I guess I would say, for what technology you want to use, I would just suggest that whatever you do use is something you're going to use. Whether it's the most complicated thing in the world that has a billion pieces, as long as you know how to use all billion or most of them, that's great. But if pen and paper is something you're reliable with and it's your go-to and you're comfortable with it, then you got to use that, and you can grow from there. But to be able to use the thing is more important than all of the shiny features it has too. So that's a good point to make as well. So I'm just going to click into, I mentioned Zoho campaigns. Zoho campaigns, like I said, it's kind of like the MailChimp version, or whatever you want to use it, the email campaigning version of Zoho. And what happens is everybody in our contact list gets interfaced with our campaigns list, and we can then subsection everything out. Like I mentioned, all the New York City people get their specific emails. All of the Capital Raising Lab, anyone who subscribed to that registration list gets a separate email. All of these different segments can be sectioned out so that everything is kind of tailored to what your experience is with us so far. And you can kind of see, we sent out a bunch of emails. I even send out, this is like a recurring one for the real estate show that I run every week automatically. When the new show gets published on my publishing platform, the post comes out the following day. It says, hey, there's a new show that came out, so go check it out if you like. So as far as these kind of emails go, the easiest way, like I mentioned, everything should be repeatable if you can help it. The easiest way is to have templates for these things. So we can kind of dive into that for a little bit, at least, just to show you somewhat of what I'm talking about here. So why do the same thing twice is kind of the thing I think about every time I'm doing something. If I've done it more than probably 2 or 3 times, I get pretty frustrated at it pretty quickly. I'm sure Travis can attest to that. But to combat that, you just essentially have to make a process or make a template. And there's a nice little section here in Zoho campaigns. There's similar in other platforms to make templates for your work. So you can see the different kind of versions of what we put out for different event types and meetup types. We have a general newsletter format. So our monthly newsletter generally is a nice kind of clean white paper looking document. So what we'll do is I'll keep that nice and clean and white papered. We sign it at the end, David and Travis, and then we put a bunch of really good content, whether it's what we're up to for the month or what the market's doing. All that good stuff goes in. So, as long as we take the kind of beginning and end and fill in the between with some good stuff, that's how that newsletter gets done. You can kind of see the capital raising stuff. If you look at headers here, that might look familiar to you. Obviously, if you're on the call, you noticed the logo before. So we have a bunch of different ones actually for it. You can see this one titled, "Thanks for attending." So if you have attended today's session, you're probably going to get marked down. Actually, you will get marked down, and you're going to get a follow-up email that says, "Thank you for attending, and we want to make sure that we stay in touch." So you're going to get a tailored email that says, "We appreciate you coming through, and we want to stay in touch and figure out how to get you to the next one, or figure out how we can add value to each other." Whatever it is, just want to let you know we appreciate your time today. And then converse to that, you can see, sorry, we missed you. So if you registered for this event and you didn't attend, I'm going to remind you that you missed out, and I'm going to try to get you on the ropes for the next one because, not everyone can make these things. I totally get it. It's like 6 o'clock on a random weekday. People are eating dinner, catching up with family, whatever. But we want to make sure that you're kind of on the radar, and maybe you attend one of these and get on the next one, because we'd like to stay in touch and keep kind of moving the business forward for everybody. So these are all relatively set up to go. There's a little bit of manual tweaking just to get the list confirmed. I got to double check, who gets into what bucket, but most of it's kind of done on its own based on how your activity was with us. So it's really neat to slowly build these out, and then you see it kind of spread its wings and kind of do its own thing. It gets like a mind of its own. So it's really interesting. Similar to the Capital Raising Lab, we do the same thing for the meetup. So anybody that registered for it but didn't make it gets the sorry email, and we make sure they missed out on a good one. And we'll take a nice picture at the meetup like we did last time, and kind of send that out and create some FOMO. And then if you did make it, you get the email that says thanks for coming through, and we send you a little form that gives you can give us some feedback, what you want to see, all these things, and that helps us because we're just looking to make a good meetup for everybody. So whatever people want, we'll put on. Similar to this one, there's a feedback form. If there's anything you're looking for, just let us know and we do it. It's just whatever people are looking to get value out of. Let's see what else we got. And yeah, you can see these last two. These are just the invite ones. So anybody that got on the list for the very first time or is on our list in general, will get the invite for the next upcoming meetup. So there's just like a bunch of things you can do. It depends on your activity. Me and Travis have been kind of mentioning a lot lately. The biggest thing is like content with context. So it's great to stay in touch. You should be staying in touch with everyone in your network as much as you possibly can. And I don't even mean that exaggerated. I just actually mean as much as you possibly can. You should be reaching out to people weekly at least. Whether it's through email, whether it's through Messenger, whether it's through Instagram, whatever the platform is, you should be reaching out to your network just to keep them aware of what you're up to. And the what you're up to part is kind of the big one. You got to have context, because if you don't have anything you're up to, people, to be frank, aren't that interested. They want to see your progress. They want to know what you're up to. And the problem I think some people may have with that is like, well, I'm not really doing much. But if you just start like writing down what you're up to weekly, even if you're not making big moves at this point, if you just start kind of writing things down, you will find that you're actually kind of making more progress than you give yourself credit for. So start writing those things down you're doing weekly. And then it could just be as simple as throwing it in a newsletter for the month. Here's the things that I looked at. I started looking at this market, really made had some nice conversations with this broker, that broker, or talked with the PM group, and they're looking to do business together, and mention them in the newsletter or wherever it's going to be made. That stuff matters, and people want to see that. So even if it seems small to you, it's important to know. It's important for your investors to know, your network to know, your partners to know what you're up to, so they actually see that you're putting in the work, because no one wants to do business with someone that's not kind of putting in the work and actually putting the hustle in. So that's very important. So if a newsletter or anything like that seems kind of scary and maybe you don't think you're there yet, you're probably wrong. It's probably just a matter of doing it and making sure that you get it done. And the ironic thing about that is, if you do that, if you start the newsletter, start whatever platform it is, say you do some YouTube videos or something, just to keep yourself consistently out there, you're actually kind of making yourself accountable. You're gonna make sure that you do the things you said you were gonna do, because now you have this kind of audience that's waiting to hear back from you, and you kind of say, oh crap, like I gotta do that, because essentially I gotta keep moving, or else people are gonna know I kind of faltered off. So it's really interesting on an accountability perspective too, to kind of get those things done. So there's a lot of reasons to build that platform out, to build these systems, to make sure the layers are meshing up. But ultimately, like I say, it boils down to me, context and content. So having the content with context is like the biggest thing. Activity just breeds activity. So you're going to want to make sure that you're having enough of it in all channels of the business. And yeah, I think I ran out of kind of my thought process on the system stuff. I just want to double check that I kind of covered the few main things I wanted to cover here. as I catch my breath here for a second. Yeah, I think I mostly covered like the big few levers that we have worked like really, really hard for. So to sum it up, it's like top line funnel is everything to us. Making sure if we put in work to talk to somebody that they don't get lost in translation. Heck, I even talked to Travis the other day, and we set up just a regular business bank account at Chase, just for a new property we closed. Just total normal. We had to put in whatever it was, $1,500, $2,000, just to get it primed up so we could get the checks coming in. Not like totally average day thing. Um, and we met two bankers there, and they were excited to meet us, and we're hoping to do more business. And we had two paper business cards. Those get in the system. If we're going to meet somebody, there's no reason not to make sure that their information doesn't get put in so that they can't know what we're up to. Those guys were just as excited to meet us as we were to meet them to actually start a relationship. So there's no reason why they shouldn't stay aware of what we have going on. So that way, maybe they see something we could be using in our banking solutions, or maybe we need something and I can find their information easily. Either way, we're both just a touch away now because we both have our information digitally forever. So yeah, like I say, the top of the line funnel is super, super key, and making sure nothing slips outside of that funnel is even more key. Once you get the funnel made, that's when you start to do these cool things like the different tailored newsletters, the different tailored setups, where you're kind of hitting these different platforms, different funnels, whatever, based on everyone's experience with you. So I think that's kind of the big takeaway for me is just make sure you're capturing the high level and then iterate from there, because you can always improve, but if you're not capturing to begin with, you're kind of starting at the end before you get to the beginning, if you will. So that's kind of my main takeaway. But I'm gonna stop sharing now because I think I got off my soapbox at least for a little while. And I know we only have one person on. I think I had a lot of original interest, and it looks like everyone got busy, which is fine. And that's kind of a testament too, to, like I say, is just consistency. Like we've had great meetups at this meetup before where we have, over dozens of people, and it's a big showing. And then you have days like today where sometimes it's just a couple people, and that's fine. The whole point is to keep doing it, because the minute you stop, it kind of shows kind of what your character is, or what your commitment is to any channel of business you're doing. I've been running a podcast for over 2 years now. I'm like 170 episodes deep, and man, that's like a ton of work. But at the same time, it's super rewarding because I see this like baby I grew just like from day one, and just put it out there consistently is like pretty cool to say I've been doing it for so long, so consistently. So yeah, having the channels just repeatedly executed on is definitely the content that I was talking about. That's the context for the content. It's just consistency and showing you're putting the reps in. So I don't want to single Angela out. I don't know if you're still listening, Angela, but if you had anything specific, I mean, you kind of got the floor today. So it's really your calling. If you're not, that's totally fine too. So
Yeah, I'm here, but I don't have any questions.
okay. What I guess I'll dial it back. What were you looking to take away from this today? Or is there anything you've been thinking about lately, whether it's real estate or other?
Yeah, I was trying to get into real estate. I'm looking to get into real estate
Okay.
investing.
And
So I
where
thought it'd be interesting to join the meeting and just
Yeah.
kind of see what you guys were talking about.
and whereabouts are you?
I'm in Tyler, Texas, East Texas.
Okay. So you got quite a few good markets out there in Houston and Dallas, et cetera. So oh, there we go.
Yeah, so
Hey,
I'm
how's
here
it
in
going?
Texas.
Nice to see your face. I was just saying you got a couple of good markets out there in Dallas and Houston. So,
Right.
how close are you to narrowing down that
Hmm.
stuff, or what? I guess how far along the path are you?
Um, I'm just getting started. So I don't have a CRM yet at
Yeah.
this time. I don't have a CRM yet. And I'm just getting started. And yeah, just trying to learn and take in as much as possible.
Yeah, that's it might be my connection or something, but that's good. The biggest thing to me is like finding direction.
Yeah, it's probably mine.
Oh, it's okay either way. Um, just like finding direction either way, how you want to invest is like the biggest thing. Do you know like what size properties or what type of properties or anything like that? Like you
Yeah.
start narrowing in on that stuff?
Well, starting out, I wanted to look at single family homes, but I do want to get into multifamily. That's really what I want to do. But
So
I
my
figured I'd try to start small because the amount of money that I'm using is a small amount. So
Yeah, I mean that's like why we set up this call too, is because um, the kind of numbers will scare people off, or the amount you need to raise scares people off if you need to raise money to get the deal done. But um, the numbers don't lie, and bigger is better, you know. So I mean, single family can be great too, but we're very partial to multi. There's a lot of scale that makes things cheaper and more efficient and less risky. Um, so yeah, if you think you're going to get a multi, maybe you just get a multi, even if it, maybe just residential multi to start, or small commercial even. Like there's a lot of options out there. So, because even like up to a 4 unit, you could get,
yeah.
you can get a FHA loan, and it could be your own property, and a lot of leverage there. So there's a ton of things out there.
Okay. Okay.
Is there anything else you'd be like looking to take away from
Start
today?
small.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Is there anything else you'd be looking to take away from today? Like this is capital raising focused, but ultimately it's kind of just like a value add back to people. So what is it like if you had to pick something you needed to fix in like the
Right.
next month? Like what would help you a ton?
What would help me would be to learn to figure out what I need to do to raise the capital. I know my capital alone won't do it
Yeah.
as far as multifamily. So how would I go about starting to like get to raise the capital? That's pretty much where I was.
So I think the biggest thing to do is you have to let people know what you're doing. Kind of like I mentioned with the context and content. Like if people don't know what you're up to, how are they ever going to know what you're up to? And that kind of sounds really stupid, but if you have conviction and say I'm Angela, I want to invest in whatever submarket it is or whatever market it is in Texas, and I want to invest in these types of properties. And for a fact you did your homework. This is all the reasons why you want to invest there, yada yada yada. People need to know why you're so sure of yourself, why you have that conviction to want to invest there, why you want to go bigger faster. If they don't know, they're not going to know. And if they do know, but they don't see that you're sure and positive and you have all the data to back you up, um, they're not going to be sure that you're sure either. So just kind of going in and committing and saying you're going to do the thing is like half the battle. It takes a while. It takes a while, and it's kind of scary to just like yell to the world that you're doing this thing, and maybe some people will question you and say you're crazy or whatever. But eventually, the ones that like believe in you won't call you crazy, and especially once they see you really doing it, the doubters will even call you not crazy at that point. So just kind of putting yourself out there, whether it's Facebook or send an email to like the close friends, whatever it is, just to let them know kind of what you're getting into. Um, that's the biggest thing. Um,
Okay.
Initially, inner circles is probably the best bet. Social circles, people you already know, is obviously the biggest thing. But yeah, posting on Facebook, Instagram, consistently. You can't just do like one email and be done. Like I talk about, you got to be hitting people, relatively consistently so that they're always aware that you're always kind of generating activity. But just letting them know what you're up to is the biggest thing. Eventually someone's going to be like, hey, I saw you've been doing this for a while. What are you up to? It might take months or whatever. But that one conversation could be the next big deal. And then that's going to, give you more stuff to talk about so that the next person gives you an opportunity, and then you do a deal 3 times the size of the previous deal. So it just kind of compounds on itself, and luck ends up being just a statistic, and it's not just luck. So that's kind of the biggest thing. It's just kind of that leap of faith and saying I'm doing it, and just keep saying I'm doing it. But yeah, when it's new and it's like when it's new and it's like, oh, I don't want to like say all this in front of like friends and family on Facebook and all this stuff. It's like, for a lot of people, and it was for me too, it's like a little unnerving at first, but then eventually that goes away, and you just do the thing, and then every day you get more confident. So it's good in that sense.
Okay. Oh, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And we are around too, so if there's anything you're curious about, or stuff that we consider, be happy to reach out. That's totally fine. You should have our contact info by now, so but yeah, I can get it to you if not.
Okay.
Is there anything else on your mind,
Okay.
Angela?
All right. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, not at this time. I'm good.
Okay. Well,
All right.
I am. Oh, hey, what's up, Travis? You got the video on, huh?
Here.
Finally got her. Think we're getting close to wrapping, unless you have some final thoughts.
I have no final thoughts, but I thought that your info was really good in the beginning. I'm probably a little biased, but
Yeah.
no, that was a good breakdown, even for me, just to kind of like refresh myself on like our process and like how we're starting from the top and we're funneling down. We have all these sub things, and what Dave touched on, which is super important, is just iteration. It's just the constant iteration and optimization of the system. Like, we're in this game for at least the next 50 years. So if we just keep at it and compound slowly and slowly over time, we will have a massive machine built. But it's just about, like Dave mentioned, putting in the reps and staying consistent. So I definitely want to commend us on that.
A little self pat on the back, I guess, right? Yeah, that's all I got. Final thoughts. I think I kind of spoke enough for the first 30 minutes. So I'm gonna go get a glass of water. But yeah, Angela, thanks for coming through. And if there's someone, I haven't been looking at the Facebook group
All right.
a ton, but anybody that's out there as well on the comments, thank you as well. But yeah, we'll see you guys next time.
Take care now. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.